She said it again. Does your Attorney General think if she utters the word transparency over and over and over again that you'll buy it?
Be as transparent as possible and to provide as much information as possible. Over the course of time, we certainly are open to that.
Well, after that editing fiasco of yesterday, you still don't have all the transcripts because the Department of Justice is refusing to release the entire transcript of the Orlando shooter calling 911. There are at least 20 minutes that the DOJ will not let you see or hear. So what's up with that? And considering that in yesterday's released transcript, the DOJ swapped out the word Allah and replaced it with God, do you even believe that the transcript the DOJ did release is accurate? That is word for word from the audio. Or do you suspect some DOJ funny business? Well, this is certain. If we had that promised transparency, we could verify the transcripts on our own. On the Record Investigates tonight, starting with Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Greta. How are you?
Good. Is this much ado about nothing, or are you as outraged over this transparency suggestion?
No, it is something that we should be concerned about because obviously we have an administration that wants to manipulate the truth and not allow the American people to understand the nature of the enemy that inspired the Islamic jihadist attack, the second largest Islamic terrorist attack in United States history. And why is it that they want to manipulate this language? Why is it that they want to redact this language? And why is it that they feel a need to, change the word Allah to God? It is unconscionable. It is something that no one should accept. And this is truly a violation of that First Amendment.
Well, this is what I don't understand is that why they're dodging on this one. You know, like, why don't they just say it what it is? I mean, if the killer himself says he's inspired by ISIS, al-Baghdadi, who's the leader of ISIS, is someone that he swears his allegiance to, why in the world does the Obama administration seem to sort of dodge and duck that as though they think we're so stupid that we don't know?
Well, you have an administration that continues to obfuscate, they continue to deny, they even continue to lie about the nature and the existence of this enemy because they want to feed us a narrative, as you saw the president, that they're having success against ISIS. Don't believe your lying eyes and what you see and what you know to be happening. Because if all of a sudden they would recognize this enemy, if all of a sudden they would try to understand Islamic fascism and Islamic jihadism, then they would be called to task to do something about it. But, you know, Greta, let's be very honest. Think about all of the jihadist attacks that have occurred in the Obama administration, and we continue to hear their response is that we need to disarm the American people.
Well, let me tell you what is happening now, the Colonel West. I mean, I'm obviously giving him a lot of heat for this, and a lot of other people is the Obama administration is taking heat virtually from, many for not saying radical Islamic terror. And today, White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest hit back at those critics, including me, I guess.
The individuals who spend most of their time talking about radical Islamic terrorism are individuals like Republicans in the Senate who voted against legislation that would prevent those individuals from being able to buy a gun. And those are individuals who have not actually put forward their own strategy for keeping the country safe. Using the term radical Islamic extremism is not a counterterrorism strategy. It is a political talking point, plain and simple.
Colonel, your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, that young man needs to understand something about strategic decision-making, especially strategic military decision-making. We fought against Nazism, fascism, and Japanese imperialism. We fought against communism. You know, what Josh Earnest is saying is that basically he would have termed the attack on Pearl Harbor just an attack by airplanes. You have to understand the ideology of your enemy in order to be able to strategically undermine their messaging and undermine that ideology while you understand their goals and objectives. You know, if Omar Mateen had gone in with a hammer and a club or sword and a knife, you know, it is not about the tool that they use. It is about the ideology that is inspiring them to conduct the actions that they continue to conduct here on our soil and all across the world.
I'll tell you another thing that disturbs me is that if they flub a ministerial task like releasing a transcript, which is just simply not that difficult, and at the same time they brag that they're being transparent, that they redact things out, thinking we're that stupid not to know when you redact things out that you're not being transparent. And when they won't give it to us straight, they sort of expect us then to accept everything. But more than that, if they can't do that ministerial task of just releasing a transcript, how can you possibly have confidence that they know how to fight terrorism?
Well, they're not showing that they have the competence to be able to deny this enemy sanctuary, to engage in an information operation to undermine their ideology. They don't understand how to attack their resourcing and men and material support. Basically, what they believe is that they can come out and do this by rhetoric and do this by briefings, and that is just going to continue to embolden this enemy, not just in their actions here in America, but all across the world.
And of course, you know, I know it's not an easy job to fight terrorism. I'm not trying to pretend that it is, but at least we should be straight with the American people. And if we're going to be transparent,
yes,
be transparent. But let me thank you, Colonel, and I want to turn now to the viewers. Now is your chance to
My
vote
pleasure.
at home on Twitter. Is it important for President Obama to use the term radical Islam? Tweet yes or no using hashtag Greta. We'll show you your live Twitter votes throughout the show.